I love her voice. She's so calm. Like she talks fast.
Somebody know why?
It's like, oh, I can. No, I mean, you would assume any foreign blocks. And you know, you can't.
Yes, I can't be the first person to say this.
Right. That if they had an incorrect block, you could assume that the correct block is incorrect. And assume that they that's really the only thing I think.
What if I just like declared? If I don't subscribe to you, don't force me.
Then you're gonna have a fun
You did it. You did it.
Harrison actually got to spiel, and everyone else spiel.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, for sure. I'll call you up when the sponsor slide comes up.
do you want to swap between music or anything?
Nah, for right now it's fine. I got battle decks, so that'll probably take
Is that
care of
like in
it.
between?
There's one. I'm gonna do one up front for the speakers and one round in between. So after they come back from the intermission. So. Cool.
I don't know. That just seems like almost all like long. Like, especially with like.
Okay. Hey. Hi.
Hey.
I think we're good. You guys. Wow. You guys are like right up front. I like it. It's good. Really close. It's good. Okay. Hi. I'm Jay. What the? This guy.
That's a good one.
Organizer Carl Gross. All right. Hey, all right. So, charmCityJS. You may recognize the design of our slide there. It's all done in CSS. It's not a CSS meetup, but I did that, so you can be impressed with me later or now, whatever. It doesn't scroll. No, it doesn't scroll. Stars, also CSS. May the 4th. It's our joke. It's our joke slide about the date. So wrote itself for us tonight. It's really nice. Do you guys know the significance of tonight? Yeah, right? Right? It's happy birthday! We're 1 year. Who's Eileen? I don't know. I just found this. I thought it was a cool gift. So I don't know. It's fine. I found this on. I found this on Google Images. If you go to this Google site, there's like tons of images, and they're all free. You can use them for whatever you want. No rights involved at all. I think. No, I think that the rights are all. Yeah, you can do whatever you want with them. I think. Yeah, Eileen said it was fine. So it's our birthday. Hey, let's do something here. Listen, it's my phone. I should have been ready for this probably. Okay. Let's do video. Yeah, video. Okay. Can you guys sing? Ready? You sing happy birthday? We do it?
Are we singing it to Eileen or?
Yeah, that's fine. Or Charm City. It's your pick. Your pick. Whatever you think's right. All right, on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Come on, with feeling. Happy birthday, dear Charm City and Eileen both. Happy birthday to you. Charm City! Yeah! Woo! Yes! All right. I don't know what to do. Oh, how does this work? I'll get it later. It's fine. All right. Thanks. Oh, cool. Cool. All right. We have a website. You got to put it all in one line for it to work in the browser, but.
You have a month to fix it.
No, I don't. Never going to fix it.
Or did you actually put a break?
I think you just lost all your
It's mystery, yeah. Yeah, it's if you put it in the browser like that, I don't know. Maybe it works. I think in Edge it works in the new IE browser. Yeah. Can you guys I would love it if you guys would give talks. Please. We want your talks. We want them real bad. We had originally said don't submit a talk if you've already done one, but we are now more desperate. So yes, we want you to give a second talk. Yes, or a third, whichever one you want. So please give us your huddled. Go to github.com. Yeah, charmCityJS. We have a talks web repo. You can submit an issue there. If you don't know how to do that, you can just like ping us in. In Slack. Yeah, you can join our Slack, and then you could tell us in there that you want to give a talk. If you don't like GitHub, that's fine too. Let me scroll up here. Yeah, we have 170 people registered. Don't worry about. There's only 7 online because we're all here, so that's cool.
Those are the ones watching.
Yeah, those are the slackers, apparently. Oh, I didn't. Sorry. That's good. Anyone want to sign up right now? Who's not in our Slack? Put your hand up if you're not in our Slack. Put your hand up now. All right. Anyone want to put their email in here? No, you don't have to. That's fine. You should do that. charmcityjs.com. This exact little iframe is there, so you can just do it. It's a little chat room where we talk about like if you like Vim or not. Apparently, is what we talk about mostly. It's okay if you don't like. I don't like Vim. That's okay.
You're getting booted up Slack.
Nope. You can try, but nope. It's fine. But if you like Vim, I like you. It's fine. It's cool. Good. This is all right. This is important. We have an anti-harassment policy. We want you guys to feel safe. Hey, that's not good. Yeah, that's the short link if you need it. bit.ly/ccjs-safe. It outlines what's acceptable and what's not. It's really important to us that we have a safe community here. So let us know. If you're an organizer, could you put your hand up? If you look around, there's several of us here. Yeah. Find one of us. You can tweet at us. Our DMs are open at charmCityJS. We have a Slack channel if you want to join it and DM one of us there. However you want to get in contact with us, let us know that something is making you feel unsafe. We want to switch it up and change it so you feel like this is good. Announcements. Node School. Who went to a Node School? Anyone? Yes. All right. We just had one. It was great. Yeah. That was a slide set. Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was good. Our next one's Sunday, June 12th. It's the day after my anniversary. That's how I remember. And you can go to this website, nodeschool.io/Baltimore, and there's a registration link already up. If you want to learn about Node, who went to one that wants to talk about what it is? Because I don't want to be talking all night. So raise your hand. Who can explain what you've been to one of our Node schools? What's it like? I think you want to. You're like not raising your hand, but you're like smiling, so I think you want to.
Okay. So basically, if you're new to Node, there's a kind of a track, and if you're already know Node a little bit, there's a track for more advanced people, and you just kind of follow the guidelines and work through them with a partner.
Awesome. And what's mentoring like, Nick? You've mentored.
It's fun.
If you know some Node.
So yeah, you get to answer lots of questions, mentoring.
cool because there's a variety of experience levels. There's people who've done programming but never in JavaScript. There's people who are fantastic at JavaScript and should be in Stream Adventure, but nobody's there.
It's an empty room, but hey, it's quiet and like nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you want to be involved anyway, you can come talk to me afterwards, or you can join our Slack. No, I'm not gonna go back. Yeah, join our Slack. It's cool. All right.
Hey, Jason, today is also Node School's birthday.
It is. You're right. It is 2 years since we had the first Node School. No, I don't make you guys sing the Node School. It's fine. We sang to Eileen. Eileen is like my code name for Node School, so we already covered both charmCity and Eileen Node School. So. Hey, whoa, what the? Okay. Okay. If you like charmCityJS and you want to help out, you should talk to me. Now, I have a couple things that especially we could use help with. So if you want to do like the MC thing here, like where we stand up here and kind of explain things and go through the intro, like that would be cool. But if you don't want to do that, that's fine. We actually are interested also in people who might want to just help us like think through the event a little bit, especially in cases like we threw together a logo a year ago, and it's cool. And we made some stickers. But if you are a designer and you want to like rethink that, hey, all right. Who makes work for free? Who does that in this community? Oh, that's yeah, if you want to contribute to a community of people who make zero money on this event every week, every month, yeah, you know what? Like, just talk to us. You don't have to, but if you're like, hey, that would be fun. We already got a guy who's gonna help us rethink the website a little bit. But I'm thinking like doing some. If you have ideas, let me know. That's all I'm saying. T-shirts, mugs would be great. Mouse pads. Mouse pads are real cool.
Wait, because I'm talking about everyone's gonna think it's Java instead of JavaScript.
Because Java is like it's like coffee. That's why. Hey, let's move on. All right. Hey, so we've got a new thing tonight. We're gonna let someone come up here and talk about something they're working on. Mark, come on up. Tell us about Makaru. Wait, is there like a Price is Right theme for a showcase showdown?
I wish there was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's got notes. Yeah. I like it.
Grab your.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, permission granted.
Absolutely. Wow, there's the Slack channel.
Hey, it's me, Roach.Jason. Hey!
Where's the? Okay, so how many people here have ever had to seed a database with test data? I believe a lot of people. Okay, so if you've ever had to do that, you normally have to like use like a library like Faker or write a script or come up with data somehow, maybe steal it from production and kind of wipe it. It's work. But how many people have been asked to do that by like a salesperson who's selling the product you're building, or like the head of QA who's testing the product you're building and they can't make it for themselves, so they have you do it for them? It's ultra annoying, right? So I have a product that I build on my own spare time, not at my normal day job at Sencha, but my own company called Makaru, that you can have your sales guy or your QA guy or yourself just build the test data for themselves. So it's a website that allows you to generate realistic but fake test data for development, testing, demos, and training. And how it works is you just log onto the website, you tell what kind of fields you want to create in some kind of a schema like CSV or JSON, give each field a name, you pick a data type, it's a whole bunch of different data types. You click download and it gives you a completely randomized but realistic looking data set that you can then load into your database. So there's a whole bunch of data types, there's 90 plus data types. And so there's things like names, demographic information, realistic locations. So like city, state, country that matches up with latitude and longitude and zip code and all that kind of stuff. So you'll get like real data points. Monetary data, healthcare data, IT data. You can upload your own custom vocabulary. So if you're in some crazy domain like biology or finance or something like that, I don't have those data types built in. You can upload those into the systems and it'll pull from them randomly when generating your data sets. You can do distributions like shaping data to a curve, which is really good if you're doing sales type stuff, like simulating a trend in your software. And then there's really powerful things like doing formulas, so you can compute data from multiple columns and do all sorts of crazy coding things. There's also fun stuff like naughty strings. So if you want to use this data to break your product, it can spit out some really nasty stuff that might really put your database to the test. Download stuff in a whole bunch of different formats, so JSON, CSV, SQL, all the stuff you might need. And it has a REST API. So if you don't have a backend yet, but you've got a front end, you need something to test, you can call Makaru instead of calling your backend and get randomized but realistic records. So right now, I sell Makaru as a freemium product, and the free version is really, really good. So you can do everything that you can with the paid version. You get all the features. You're just limited to 1,000 records per download. So I encourage people to go out and use this if you think it might be helpful. But I also want to give away to anybody in this room or anybody who comes to any charmCityJS a free silver account to use at your work. And if someone else at your work needs it, you can just ask for them. So if you just come on the Slack channel and look me up, my name on Slack is Sencha Mark, so it's after my other company's name. If you just ask me, I'll hook you up with a free account. And then I'm also, in addition to that, I have a limited number of shirts that if you want, you can have. It's very sexy. I designed it myself.
Do you have a cannon?
Cheesy, but cool.
I think t-shirts have to be shot. That's the rule.
So, so there's that. And you can follow me on Twitter. I tweet about the product and updates and stuff on there, but Makaru Dev, that's me. So when we break from the first talk, I guess I'll have shirts in the back and come and say hi and grab one if you want one. Cool. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, man. Mark knows how much I like people joining Slack, so he made you join Slack to ask for a free silver account. That's why I like Mark. Join Slack. Yeah, all right. There it is. All right, so we did our announcements. If you have announcements for the company you work for or for things events that you know about in the area that might be tangentially related to JavaScript, we love recruiters. We think they're cool. We just don't want them to talk during this time. So it's fine. So if you have an announcement, put your hand up, stand up. We'll listen. Paris.
Google I/O extended here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, God.
It's
Same day as
May
18th.
So Wednesday.
Yeah, May 18th starts at like 10:30ish. It's Google Developer Group, their meetup site. They actually have an event break, something like that. Food, they feed you all day. We broadcast the keynote here, and then it ends at 4.
get to sign up to come to that.
Yes.
So
That's Google Developer Group.
okay, cool.
Like meetup, you can check out the meetup site.
We'll tweet it out. Give me the link. We'll tweet it out on the charmCityJS. Okay.
Only Slack.
Sorry, we'll put it in Slack. Nick's got it. Nick's got it down. Have I mentioned Slack today? Cool. Anyone else? Yo.
Yes, I have one. I currently consult with Social Security, and we need four senior level Node and or general full stack JavaScript folks. These are folks who have horror stories to tell.
You must.
Still manage to learn something every day, but are going to jump in and help join a superhero crew working on the disability claim processing system, saving all of us, taxpayers, hundreds of millions of dollars, and helping people get their disability faster. So hit me up. My name is Nader Kane. I'm on the Slack channel. I always have a hat on, so it's easy to find me.
It does, it's true.
And the compensation actually isn't bad at all.
Awesome. Twitter?
The Twitter campaign there, everybody should talk about their salaries.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody tweet your salary.
Gentlemen, salaries.
Help us out. Help the ladies out.
Help the ladies out. Help us 79 cents to $1 out.
It's true. Yeah. Anyone else got anything to share? All right, cool. We're going to move on because we got lots of stuff planned for tonight because it's our first birthday. Did you know? We got sponsors. AOL, 1,000 free hours. Joe's gonna tell us how you yourself can get 1,000. Is it 10,000 now?
It's millions.
That's millions of free hours. Just have to download the DVD.
Yeah, lots of free courses. Hi, I'm Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. I work here at. What's that?
Turn the button with your right hand. Hi.
I do JavaScript things here.
Basically the same.
Buttons. Sometimes buttons.
Unclick.
I also do community here for AOL. If you're interested in jobs or community, come talk to me after, and I can tell you more.
Just jobs in general.
You might be wondering about what AOL is doing here. So AOL is actually now a media technology company. We've moved on from days of the past. And here in Baltimore, we specifically do ad tech. And our big competitors in ad tech here are actually Facebook and Google. So if you're interested in JavaScript or community at AOL, come find me at the bar later.
Cool. If you haven't heard of Facebook and Google, they're like these companies that it's not important. They're stupid. They're flash in the pan. Oh, nope, that's up. Spark Post. That's where I work. Yeah, I'm going to tell you. Exactly like Mandrill, only cheaper. And we took a lot of their customers. We send a lot of email, like especially transactional, but any email, especially if you want to send from your application. We have 100,000 emails a month for free for life. Promise. So that's probably more than you probably need to send. So you're probably good for a free account. You can go to sparkpost.com or you can go to developers.sparkpost.com. We have a whole API situation happening there. It's freaking sweet. Oh, we have a community Slack that I have to answer questions in. So it's great. You should join it and.
charmCityJS Slack, join and DM you.
Yeah, yep, you got it. You got it right. Yeah. As much as you can. Yeah, you want to use up engineering time on the free plan as much as you can. It's our business model. I can tell you all about it. I wrote a book about it. It's great. Free is good. Oh my God. Carl, tell us about Tenon.
I finally showed up. So as he has probably already mentioned, I do a lot of traveling, and it always happens to be on the day of charmCityJS. And as a matter of fact, I mean, I've often been in other countries, so I'm like, fuck, are you serious? Okay, so Tenon is a bootstrap startup started by me. We offer an API for testing websites for accessibility against WCAG standards. And that's really it at a high level. We are Spark Post customers. Yeah, exactly. Free level.
Free plan.
I have my questions queued up for the Slack chat. I switched from Mandrill, so.
Yes, everyone has.
But yeah, so that's it. So we have a free trial, free plans. We have like 4 Node modules and Gulp plugins, Grunt plugins, and all that sort of stuff to check your code for accessibility. If you have any accessibility questions, ask me. If you have too many questions, you have to pay me. But otherwise, yeah. Sign up and try it out.
Just DM them in Slack. It's fine.
Look for me in Spark Post Slack. I'll be the one asking questions.
Yes, that's if you have one thing to take away, it's sign up for Spark Post Slack. So I have some friends who run a meetup in Brooklyn called BrooklynJS, and their intros go like half an hour, 45 minutes. So I'm gonna try to top that tonight. That's the goal. Just like letting you know right now. You think that we're heading to the end? We're not. So that's all right though. All right. So tonight our speakers are gonna be great, fantastic, the best we've had. Merlin Patterson's gonna talk about the magic of Meteor. It's gonna be awesome. We got Amir Maghrabi doing, hey, we just talked about this. What do we do at AOL? Yeah. If you were curious, you're going to hear more about that from a tech perspective. There's going to be a sweet intermission. You're really excited, right? It's the reason you came. More burrito, chicken Rico burritos. That's cool, right? Yeah. We're going to do round 2 after the intermission. We don't know what that is yet, but that's okay. It's going to happen. And then Don's going to finish us up with a new framework we have not heard about. Don't even worry, but it's going to be great. All right. After we are all done, which who knows what time it'll be. We're going super long. So we're going to go to Huck's. It's a bar around the corner. We're going to continue the celebration. Oh, and let me just say, we have chicken Rico burritos, but you may not have noticed because we came in a little late. My friend Nancy made happy birthday cookies. They're over there. You should totally get them. She made me promise I wouldn't put a picture of her up on the slides, so I didn't, but she's awesome. Okay. This is usually where it's done, and then we go to the talks. But tonight, it continues. We still have more. It's great. What's round 2? I'm going to try something tonight. It might like totally fail and be like awful, all right? And that's the risk you take. We're going to do battle. I did this in CSS. Oh, I'm sorry. Fine. There's no scroll. Battle decks. All right. I've stole this idea from some people I know in Manhattan. They do this every meetup. We're going to start it tonight. We're probably not going to do it every meetup, but we'll see how it goes. And I'm going to invite some of you up here to give a talk tonight. You don't know what you're talking about yet. I'm about to tell you. It's going to be a very short talk. With 2 people. Now, if you want to do it yourself, I think that would be great. If you want to do it as a pair, that's also fine. But you need to start thinking if you're willing to get up here and talk about after React, the next JS hotness, all right? Now, the way this works is I've done all the hard work for you. I've picked the topic. I've scheduled the time, I've given you a podium, and I've even created your slides. All you have to do is stand right here and give us a talk, and you can take a look at your own slides, and I will be advancing them for you too. So you don't even have to click a button. Like all the work, all the hard work is done. All you have to do is talk, all right? They're not blank. That much I can assure you. And there are only a few, so it's only a few minutes you have to do this. So if you would like to do this, I would like you to so we're going to do 2 rounds. We're going to do 1 round now, and then round 2 is going to be an intermission, so you have some time to think. Round 1, I'm going to give you like a few seconds if you want to put your hand up and say you're going to be the guinea pig. And if not, I've got someone already planned to be that person. Come on up, Nick. You're the person. All right, great. All right, so give it a hand for Nick Hudkins, who's going to give us a talk about After React. Right, I'm going to. Yeah, you just look them right there. Yeah, or here, yeah, whatever you want.
I'm excited.
Round 1.
All right, round 1. So After React is a new framework called Labrador. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a language called DSX. Yeah, super creative. It looks a lot like HTML, which is great. Unfortunately, it allows you to make your cats a little bit quieter if they're meowing too much, which is great because one of the features that I loved about React, now that we've moved on to Labrador, was that it helped me make my cats quieter.
That's like obvious.
That was like the
number one
feature.
yeah.
That was my selling.
That was on Hacker News for like 2 weeks.
So
like
I heard that Labrador could also keep me slim. I immediately took off my kitty costume, put on my cross trainers and my khakis, and got to work at my standing desk on my HP in the back of the coolest hot rod that I built because I hate gas-powered vehicles. Fossil fuel is terrible.
So I built a wind-up hot rod. Labrador. To wind up hot rod for Labrador. It helps me code faster. I can code at like 15 miles an hour. And fortunately, because classical inheritance is out,
It's the worst.
oh, it's just so bad. I have recently also incorporated functional food programming into Labrador. I call it dog fooding. And it's been great. It's been great. We're still going. I'm not sure if you know that fruits also provide electricity. So that whole thing with the wind-up car, I'm into alternative power sources.
Electric
Labrador, yeah, the RCA, really shitty video, and good audio. Labrador also helps us build next generation wearables. Which is one of the for men and women, fully very inclusive technology, which is great. And I mean, just like everyone is using
It's
our
sweeping the
wearables
nation.
that we built with Labrador, which is
It's a phone service mostly.
yeah, I guess it's like AT&T. Well, singular. It's more like singular. AT&T is black. So in conclusion, I want you guys to use Labrador because it will just take your programming to the next level. I got nothing for this.
I don't even care if you like that because I just wanted to do that myself. That's yeah. So next time we're gonna after the intermission we're gonna have someone come up here and do another slide deck. It's gonna be great. One up, speaker number 1, Merlin.
Where's the HDMI? Oh, there it is. Where's the HDMI cable? I can't find it in all this mess.
HDMI cable?
Yeah. No, I only have HDMI.
Assuming that's another button. Oh boy. Here.
Really? What's it do? What's like, is it reacting better?
It's HDMI, but is any of this DPI?
I don't have a name for him. I have this thing that I walk around with. It converts it into HDMI, USB, I guess. It uses display, whatever. Display link. I have a bunch of other ones out there too, so I don't know. I might have HDMI if you must.
Yeah, let's see what I can find.
If it's Windows 7, it will have the plugin for it. Work.
Okay. I'm assuming this is UGA, but I have to at least check it.
Yeah, probably.
We're just having current technical difficulties
So
here.
we have
Yeah.
HDMI up here.
I
Let me look on the
my
back.
computer's too new.
That is
Yeah,
HDMI.
but we don't have DVI either.
Oh.
I have this video to DVI as well. I can't remember.
Wasn't there one up here earlier?
I This is not the issue I was
You need
expecting to have
SVO
with my doc.
to VGA or
Something to HDMI.
or
HDMI.
uh,
We have this one,
But that's the DVR.
we had this one on here.
Yeah.
So what is it? Display.
Did you do a test earlier or no?
No,
I didn't. Yeah, I assumed we had
Oh.
HDMI. The
try
one-
this. I mean, you
Still
don't
experiencing
have much to
technical
lose.
difficulties. We just need a way to get into it.
This way. So you do that, and then you do that.
Wait, what is this? What's
That is a
this?
lot of
VGA, right?
connectors.
VGA to.
S video.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. The other side, maybe flip it. Is it?
No, that's the multi one, and that's not the right one. You don't use that.
Alright.
Yeah, they got 3 different types of.
Right, so this is going to go into here.
Right. This is gonna go into here, and then that's gonna go there.
Wow. That is a lot of converted.
What's great is this is all being recorded and streamed across the internet right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right, let's try it.
Try it.
See what comes
Okay.
up.
It's not in loose.
It just doesn't make sense that we don't have HDMI here.
Yeah,
So
I thought there
HDMI.
was. That's what I thought. I thought there was.
If it's Windows 7, it will
Because
pick it
this
up.
is not the first person without a Mac. I mean, it's rare. It's a rare,
Right.
you know. Definitely.
Get to the next step and see what it's doing.
This is red. Should this be red?
Yeah, it should be right. That's actually means it's powered.
Display settings.
So you need to install something. That's looking out. External video.
Do you see anything flashing with your USBs? I've never seen this operating system before. What is this thing?
This is just Windows.
When you plug a new USB in, there's like usually
Yeah, something usually
something
pops
comes up
yeah.
like
You could go to the website and download the driver, but that's going to take forever.
yeah, that's gonna take
Yeah.
forever. Go to detect. Maybe.
Doesn't detect one. Well, I mean, maybe it just needs to be turned on from back there.
No, you're plugged in.
You plug in.
No, but I thought like the displays had to be like switched over because they're definitely not on this computer.
We're
They're
on this one right
computer.
Which would make sense if we plug it in.
Yeah.
It's that too.
Oh man. Say the other option is I can control the laptop from the back. Wait.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Oh, it is right. Never mind.
VGA to
There we go. Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. Please detect something. Yeah, it's happening. Display link driver. Yep. Accept. Don't worry, it's not a. Well, you have to.
Viruses.
You can worry.
It's display link. It's just crappy external video.
Pretty much. And the reason why I also give up on my Linux laptop. 3, 2, 1.
So what we've done here is just done a full install of software and external video hardware for this. I'm explaining it to that. That's why I'm up here. I'm actually not up here to help you all. That's good. I'm just joking. I'm here for both. All right, you should be good then, right?
Oh yes.
You probably have to. Are you mirrored?
Yeah, that's. Is that weird?
Open up something. Yeah, I don't see anything on the screen. You probably have to mirror it.
Okay. Yeah. Duplicate.
There you go.
Okay. I'm Merlin. I work for ClassTracks. It's an ed tech company. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about the magic of Meteor. And yes, this slide may look pretty, but this is actually the only slide I have, because to show you the actual magic of Meteor, I decided that I will live code a very simple chat app over the next 10 minutes. So I hope this all goes well, because as we all know, live coding never works. So from the, so a few points that I'll be covering with Meteor is that from the very start, it's supposed to be very super simple to use. Like as soon as you run Meteor create followed by the project name, it makes a working project. You don't have to go and install Express or set up routes or anything like that. It just works. So it's creating the project, it's running, and they have some initial code in there, and runs the server, runs the database, and on the right side of the screen, you'll see the starter app appear. And so I will pull up the code while that's happening. And so Meteor uses their own specific templating and reactive rendering system called Blaze and Spacebars, but they actually have been working to and recently integrated React and Angular over the last year, so you can swap that out as well. And so on the left, you can see the templates that are being pulled in, and yes, that's not me. That's not me. I don't know what that is.
You just have this modified.
So another magical point with Meteor is the hot reloading, which I will quickly demonstrate by just replacing the code here with a simple chat input form minus some stupid coding bugs because I'm nervous. That is the point. And as you will shortly see on the right, Meteor will reload in the background and force the browser to reload, and then you will hopefully, should have worked. It worked earlier when I went through all this code at least 10 times, so I don't know why it is not working. Oh. That's why. And there we go. But of course, this form, doesn't actually do anything. So we need to add events through Meteor's templating system, and I'll just make this slightly nicer to look at. So with Meteor events, they're jQuery-like syntax. So you just create an events object and tell it, on form submit, you get the form, and one nice thing that as you can see with Meteors, they support the latest in ECMAScript 2015, so that's a nice plus. And then for a very boring reactivity, or for a very boring form, I will just have this form rendered to the console, and then I we'll talk about how we can actually get that into the database and talk about much cooler things with Meteor. And second refresh. No. Yes. Well, with ECMAScript, you can just put in the two fields and it will automatically convert it into a JavaScript object with fields named the same. Okay. And so then if I type in author and message, helps if I wait for it to reload the rest. One caveat with Meteor is that you have to prevent the form from actually submitting. Anyway, while that's reloading, I'll cover the next point with Meteor, which is really nice. You can quickly get data onto the client as opposed to having to push it or call it from like a REST endpoint connected to the server. And the way you can do that is through what Meteor has called publications. So you just create a collection on the server side. And you want to then publish it to the client. And the really nice thing about this is you can tell it to publish however much you want. So for the sake of this presentation, I'm not restricting any publication. So everything that's going into the messages collection will be published. But you could tell it to only publish, things by a certain author or things that were published in the last few days. And then that helps you out with how much data you're sending or with permissions. And then the really cool thing with Meteor is once you subscribe on the client, you get all that data and you can actually and it's all stored in memory in what Meteor calls mini Mongo. So it's an in-memory cache. It can hold tons of your data there. And the way you do that is you call effectively the same line to call and create a new Mongo collection on the client side. But instead of it connecting to the backend database, it now connects to the mini Mongo in-memory instance on the front end. So to actually show what that looks like, and to actually be able to display these messages not just in the console like you can now see here, but actually display them below the input, so it's more like what you would expect. So say what the Charm City Slack channel, which you should all use, and not this, because obviously this is not meant to be pretty. So I create a messages helper to get the messages from the server, and you want to subscribe to them, otherwise that won't actually render anything. So just when this other template is created, I'll subscribe. And on the front end, I will go and create that template. And we'll just go through each of the messages from the helper. And render the author and also the text. But of course, there's nothing actually being displayed because I've only been console logging everything. So the really nice thing about having an in-memory instance of Mongo on the client is that you can easily insert or read from your data on the client. I'll just make sure that these are sorted by a created at date, which I will shortly create. So that way the latest message appears on top. Make sure that gets added. And once it refreshes, I will be able to have these all appear reactively. Why is it not? I had this problem earlier. Oh, this is what I forget every time. I did not include the chat messages template, which is useful for actually seeing things. So now, if hello Charm City, and it immediately pops up on the client thanks to the in-memory store, which optimistically displays the data, then sends the data up to the server, where the server then has it. So now, if I refresh the page, all the messages are still there. And yeah, that's the magic of Meteor in a nutshell. Any questions? Do we do questions here? Yeah. Okay.
So that data was persisted to Mongo on the server.
Yep. So if I were to deploy this to say Heroku, you could all just start chatting during this talk, which was the plan, but too many bugs and too much nervousness. Any other questions? Yes.
Templates. Are you able to, I guess, export the templates into like a main
Export the what, sorry?
components? I don't know what they call it.
Oh, the templates? Yeah, you can pull them into various other components. The starter template that Meteor has, that they just have everything rendered in a body, but through Meteor's packaging system, which is also really powerful, you can bring in a really simple router and render like a layout that way. Yeah.
Plug you.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
After you're done, so as soon as you're done, I'll run it and say.
I had an outside comment. If we can get text on the screen a little bit bigger, we could actually see it on the recordings too. So I don't know if that's going to work for everybody's, because you think people have slides and things. But if we're doing coding and things like that, we could make it a little bit bigger.
All right.
It doesn't need to be humongous, probably, but I don't have an exact point. I don't know. So, or yeah, if we can get everybody to kind of post up either afterwards. It's a little bit harder with live.
I'm here, right? Yes. Cool.
You guys are using the top one, right? This, you didn't unplug this to plug yours in. Dude, that music stopped.
Took a long time. Just started back up. That's one that's like,
I was like, we're good.
Yeah, we're up now.
All right, Amir's going to talk about AOL.
Yep. Hey guys, I'm gonna talk about what we do at AOL and specifically what I do, my little corner of the world. Basically, a bird's eye view of mobile advertising. Okay, introduction, a little something from the past. So what is mobile advertising? So mobile advertising is just as it is advertising, but on mobile devices, so smartphones, tablets, and other wearables too now. So why mobile advertising? So app developers gotta get their money from somewhere, and people don't like to pay for apps usually. So that's a good solution. And everybody loves free apps, right? It's also like opened up a new window for advertisers to get a lot more money. Also, and this is very important, unlike other media like television and newspaper, mobile devices allow for richer and more relevant ads. You can interact with an ad, you can swipe it and enter your info or stuff like that. Also, a mobile phone basically identifies a person. So when you're watching an ad, you're basically, advertisers know that you've actually watched an ad. Unlike on television where it's broadcasted and then, you can make up some numbers and statistics. So it's a bit more about what I said before. So it's different by delivering an ad to a single person. It's personalizable, interactive, and this is important for advertisers. They can actually collect data about the interaction of users. From the data, you can create a lot of important metrics for the bigwigs, and you have a lot of reach and impact. So I'm going to just go into a short history of how this whole thing evolved as far as I understand. So the early days, it was a whole mess. It was like the Wild West. Every company had its own thing, its own technology, its own server. Nobody actually talked to each other. There was very little standardization. And when you committed to one company, you just had to kind of stick with them. And there was a lot of effort involved for developers to actually integrate these ads. So this is just basically a small example of how it might have looked. So every company had its own thing and they didn't actually interact. So why is this a problem? As a developer, I want to get as much bang for my buck, with as little effort as possible. And when it's many different companies and I have to put in a lot of effort and just go with one of them, that really limits me. So what if one of them, has run out of ads or has a different quality of ads, and I want to be able to get the best of both worlds? It was kind of tough. I have to do everything by hand, and it was just not a good system. So solution to that is something called mediation. So after this problem became evident, a lot of companies actually jumped on this and came up with SDKs that will basically encapsulate other SDKs of networks, basically be the middleman, enabling the application developer to interact directly with them and not have to worry about all the other SDKs So what this gave the developers, it gave them a better way to interact and integrate one SDK and get the benefit of all of them. Now, from the advertiser's point of view, this didn't really help because they still had to go and interact with each network and sign a contract with each of them, and it was just not very straightforward. So what, as an advertiser, what do I want? So I want to reach as many people as possible. And if I go to one company, my reach might not be as big. And I want, this is very important, they want to create one advertisement and they want to run it everywhere. And when you have different standards and different companies in the business and they don't talk well to each other, it's hard to do. So we need some sort of standardization here. So they want to run it on different SDKs and different networks, and they also want to minimize their expenditure. It's not a good joke. Okay, so this brings us basically to the modern age. So how does the whole ecosystem look now? So right now, there's a lot more of interconnectivity. Basically, many companies realized that in order to create a better, more healthy market, it'll be better to standardize and to talk to each other more readily. So each network can serve ads from many advertisers now. And each time an ad is requested, the advertiser can decide real time how much they're willing to pay for it. And they base that off of, for example, where your location is, all the regular metrics like age, sex, stuff like that. For example, if I'm a big retailer and I know that I have a shop in a certain place, and there's a user that is requesting an ad, and I see that he's around that area. That ad now is worth a lot more to me because I can potentially direct them to a nearby store. So this really gives a lot more depth to the whole ad industry, which they did not have before, with broadcasting. And this also means that if it's worth more for me, I'm gonna potentially pay more for it, which translates to more money for the app developers, so a win-win situation. So this is a very simplified picture of the whole ecosystem now. Basically, this is basically a network, for example, AOL. And these are different advertisers. For example, an advertiser agency can have like different customers, and they can integrate with AOL or some other company directly. So this brings us to JavaScript. So what does it have to do with JavaScript? So a lot of the advertisements are actually web-based still. We're going into a lot more video, a lot more native advertisements, but really a lot of it is still web-based because it's easy and a lot of companies do it. So in a web, in the browser, basically, we expect an ad to be rich and interactive. So the way to do it is through JavaScript. And we want to smartly control our footprint on the screen. On a mobile phone, you have very limited real estate, and you want to make sure you take full advantage of it. So you can't just put a big advertisement and block the whole thing. Usually what you want is something smaller and then if you're interested in it, enlarge it. And that's also done with JavaScript. So, so how can we achieve all of that? There has to be some standards. So in order to solve this problem of portability, something that's called an MRAID was invented. Mobile rich media ad interface, whatever. So basically this created a standard where you can create one ad that controls and then serve it to many SDKs. And since this is an open standard, a lot of SDKs implement it. So this became basically a status quo and a standard in the industry. And what this allows to do is to control the lifecycle, basically the showing and then the removing of the ad. It created standard placements, basically, of certain sizes that are standard. For example, a banner is 320 by 50, and it's a well-known fact. So when you create, as an advertiser, you create one ad like that, you're going to have a lot of places to send it to. Or interstitial, which is a full screen. So some of the benefits of MRAID, it allows you to enhance the performance of the ad, by loading it off screen, making sure that the web view basically fetches all the pictures, all the assets when it's not on screen, and then once it's ready, you just put it on screen, and it's a very smooth transition instead of just loading an HTML and then waiting for it. As I said, it helps you control the size of the web view, and it gives you a standard way of opening URLs. Now, this might not sound like a problem because there are links, and when you click on them, it opens. But different platforms deal with it differently. For example, on Android, you can open it in an external browser or an internal one, and it doesn't really make a difference because it's all intents. But on iOS, you have an actual internal browser. So you got to make sure that you know what you're doing when you're opening a URL. And this is just a way to make it uniform. So what are the problems with implementing MRAID? It seems straightforward, but what makes it hard is that there are so many different platforms that you have to support. iOS, Android, and within those you have many different versions of OSs. Each OS had its own quirks. You run into timing issues, and just, for example, some older Androids lack the ability to communicate back and forth between the web view and the native layer. And you have to do some sort of polling process. So one important thing also that they did not really do a good job with defining this standard, and there's a lot of wiggle room, which creates some problem. So this is a use case for MRAID. So this is the life cycle of a very simple ad. So it begins from a small banner. If you interact with it, you click on it, it will enlarge and take up the whole screen. So this is done through JavaScript by calling mraid.expand. It basically tells the native layer, I want a bigger space. So the native layer goes ahead and resizes this web view to take the whole screen, and then waits until you click on a close button, which then tells the native layer, I want to be small again, and it will close it. So a small example of a very simple MRAID advertisement. So basically, this shows here how to initiate an MRAID advertisement. Basically, MRAID has a state, and when it starts, it will be in loading state, and then the native layer, once it's done all the initialization, will let the JavaScript know that we're now ready. So I can either put a listener here, or if I'm already in not loading and ready, I can just go ahead and do whatever I want here. So in this case, I added a quick listener on the banner to open up some website. One more important thing that MRAID can do is give JavaScript, the JavaScript layer, basically knowledge whether it's being viewed or not. And this comes in handy when you want to fetch all your assets offline, off screen, for that smoother viewability. So you begin by waiting until the MRAID container has stabilized and loaded everything. And then you wait until you're visible. And this, an MRAID can tell you that. You can add a listener and wait until you're visible. And once you are, you know that the ad is being shown on the screen, and you can fire some tracking URLs to tell the server that an ad was shown, and thus to process the whole, basically charge for it. So that's about it. Anybody has any questions?
We are going to take a 5-minute break because we're running long. So get more burritos, shovel them in, go to the bathroom, come back. And hey, it's very important. One of you will need to do battle decks when we get back. So decide who it will be. 5 minutes.
Carl said he left because he had to get his daughter. Yeah, right.
Didn't realize that.
I don't know which one of the two will look the real. This one of the pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's I kind of feel like that's the vibe I'm feeling. Listening to users. That's what the universe is telling me. That's you should. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. It's the good students. All right, everyone, get some burritos and cookies and sit down. Grab a seat. I tried to pick someone to battle deck and she ran off, so. Hi. Say that. Maybe you're gonna say that. If there was less talking in this area, I'm not saying anyone individually, but just in general, less talking. That would be great. Who's gonna do our round two? Round two? You kind of looked at you, gave me a look like you were gonna do it. Are you gonna do this? Yeah. Round two? Really? Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna give you a look. Come on! Yeah! All right, you got it. All right. What's your name?
Olivia.
What's that?
Olivia.
Olivia. This is Olivia. She's our next battle decker, telling us about after React. Yeah, just as good, please.
Good. I meant good.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't say if I can beat yours though.
I did the hard parts. All right, let's give her one more round of applause. Olivia. Round two.
Oh
my God.
So here we have a talking robot, and it'll solve all your needs. Just gonna put it out there. So this is after React. After React, we have talking machines and walking machines. Does it automatically for you. But because of this, you've already seen it. It's probably too late for you because we're all gone. That's it. Computers have taken over. Because
it's the most likely scenario.
React has pretty much all gone away, and because of that, we have automation that's taken over everything. We're not needed anymore.
Well, are you saying the only thing after React is just death and destruction?
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
And so, because of that, computers have taken over walking. We now have bicycles that we just ride, or we walk the bicycles. And we become the computers because we make no sense.
Sorry.
Is this insulting to Baltimore?
That's up to you. This is your talk. I don't know what you're asking me about.
Yeah, I put this together in the last minute. So, I'm actually not entirely sure what I was thinking about. And now Bears, because React has been long gone, the Bears can take over and
it's the one thing holding the Bears back.
React was holding the Bears back.
That's why we love React.
And now, because React is gone and we have computers taking over our lives, we now have the same amount of hours in the day to go and walk bicycles. And because we don't no longer need computers, we can now make our own pianos with bananas. And now, again, because we don't need computers, we can make our own little scuba mask and breathe pure oxygen.
That's for sure.
And, Labradoodles have done so well. We now can talk through our shoes because Labradoodle's now taking over. However, I have the walking bears on my side. And so, in conclusion, use Labradoodles, and we no longer need computers, and talking bears are going to be the next thing.
Thank you. Olivia, thank you. Sir, we do have one last talk. It's all about shoe phones, right? Right. This is about shoe phones, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
great.
100% coverage. Yeah, I wrote it in the back actually. It's really truly about shoe phones. Hey y'all, I'm Don Abrams. Right now I'm working at Alavu downtown, and we're gonna give a talk tonight about I was gonna give a talk about React and Redux at scale. So quick poll. I keep hearing jokes about
Notes.
Yeah, I know it's on purpose. Otherwise I have to sync the speaker notes, and that's a terrible problem. Yeah. You can do that too. You don't have to listen to my voice anymore. Like this is for the listening to me impaired. So quick poll, how many people in here have written a React component? Okay, how many people in here have used Redux? Okay, how many people want to know about Redux and haven't learned it yet? Okay. And for those of you who have React, how many people have a code base that has more than, say, 150 components in it? So I got like 2 people. Okay. So would you all rather I talk about Redux as a whole, scaling up Redux so that it's like 100 or 200 components plus like up to like thousands? Or would you rather go in depth about like how Redux works and how to set it up like from a beginner point of view? Like, so scaling? I have one for scaling. Is anyone one? What was that? Build?
All of it.
No, I'm trying to get this one done in like 10, 15 minutes. It is late. So hands up for just scaling Redux really big. Hands up for Redux and what it is and how to set up and start with it. And okay, so it's about equal. So I'm going to try to do both very quickly, which means I'll probably do both terribly. All right. So just a quick thing. The reason why we even chose Redux in the first place. So previous architectures we had, I was working for a company called Craftsy when we first picked up Redux. The idea there was we had a video player that was serving it up to millions of customers that are watching videos. We had an e-commerce platform that had to be server-side renderable, and we had social stuff where you had interactivity going down. All this in one site is a lot of work for jQuery. So eventually we moved to like a jQuery event emitter. We tried some Angular stuff on the admin side. We tried raw React and with the event emitter, and actually that worked out. That actually helped us get to a really good point. When we had our React views, we were able to move all the data around via some namespaced event stuff and then just go and render it out. And this was, although it didn't solve our isomorphic problem at the time, because we had like a Java backend that was serving the stuff up, we were able to really take care of our social stuff well. So when we had the opportunity to completely re-architect the thing, we sat around and we're like, what can we do so we can solve all of these problems and not have to think about it when we do it? So like when we're redoing this entire huge site with all these pieces, what can we do that we can use one approach and we can just speed along? And the thing that was really cool about it was the components. So like when you have a component, and this is with the React, you can reuse it pretty much anywhere if you do it right. You can move it here, there. I mean, all the web pages are rectangles within rectangles. If you have this rectangle that works great, you can plug it in and move it around. That's awesome. The thing is just we wanted to be able to render the stuff on the server with Node.js. We wanted to be able to do isomorphic. We need it for SEO, and it's just easier. It's just also easier to understand and debug. Like when something goes wrong here, or if you're trying to do the server side, you have to code it twice. It's like the worst situation in the world. And the other thing is when things go wrong, you really want to know like when you trigger an event, what's the effect of that event? And now that when we see something happen, like a server go out or a bad response, where did this come from? Like these are the things we do every day in maintenance and when we're deving. Like if we can solve those and make that easy, we can move really fast. So we looked into Flux, and it was sort of terrible at the time. This is pre-Redux. Boilerplate sucks, large complex code bases, and they sort of wanted to control everything. They weren't as lightweight as one would hope, and it was sort of complicated on the pieces you had to set up. You had the stores, you would mutate them. It could, you could have multiple stores. Like there's a million different varieties, and they didn't give us that declarative feel, that ease of debugging that we really wanted for this thing. So we actually started building our own. The idea was like we have this immutable state. We push everything through these known state machines so that like we know at any point when something goes wrong, how it could have possibly moved there. We could get this predictability and replayability. How many people know what a state machine is? How many people don't? All right. So a state machine is just, it's just when you have a piece of data, it's where it's basically a tag saying this is where I am, and these are the events that can work for me right now. I don't know if you've had the ability to like make an object and then put a million getter setters or call events on it that only work in specific circumstances. So like, it doesn't make sense to have a set name when it's already submitted. So what these things do is you actually can say, okay, this is going to take on this new role once this event processes. And I'm like, okay, it's this state. So in this state machine here, we have 3 states: LED on, LED off, blink. You see timeout, that event can only happen from LED on or blink. It does no effect if the LED is already off. And then look at the arrows, like you can only move in these directions. So if I see something wrong and the LED is blinking, I know that the previous state on here was on. And I know that if it's still on that state, someone either hasn't pressed the button or it hasn't timed out yet. This is sort of the power of state machines, is that you know where you are in your code and what possible way you could have gotten there and where you can go from that. This is like the sort of a high level goals of what we did and why Redux is actually useful. So Redux is what we settled on, and without showing you code first, I'm actually just try to explain to you this diagram here that was I saw in a talk yesterday. I was like, oh, good, I don't have to do any work. So this green box here is representative of the actual web page itself. We have 2 buttons, a deposit button, a withdrawal button, and we have the amount of money that we currently have in our account. When you click deposit 10 or withdrawal 10, it'll fire an action here. And it goes, okay, there, this event triggered this action, go. Okay, meaning if I can go look at, if an action fired, I can go look, oh, what's called this action? I know exactly where its possible source could have been. Next, this action might go and go check the database and might see, hey, is this person even allowed to do this? Might go do all sorts of things. But eventually what it'll do is it'll send, I'll wait for the little dot. Woo. It'll send also called an action, which probably shouldn't, but that's what it is in the Redux documents. Actually called it'll send an action to this dispatcher. And so what that is those are the different events. So if we go back and look at this, we have the button press and the timeout. Those would be the equivalent of these things the dispatcher is picking up. Because at the moment that it hits the dispatcher, it's now the dispatcher's job to change the state or keep it in the same state. Okay, and Redux does this in a really interesting way. So when it goes into the reducer, what it does is it takes the event and the stuff you pass in as part of that action with the actual state of the application itself, and it produces a new state, a clean, completely, like if you do it correctly, which with a mutable state, it will create a brand new one that is you can replace the existing state of the store. So what it is these 2 things come out and produce a new state. Anytime another action comes in, it'll use that new state. This happens 1 at a time. Okay, and then last but not least, you have your display thing here that pulls in the new state. So anytime the state changes, it'll automatically get synced to the front end. So what you have to do when you're using Redux is you define your views right here, which right now I'm using React, but you can use Angular and a bunch of other techs as well, including iOS views with React Native. You define your actions, which is like, okay, I'm going to go do this asynchronous stuff, or I'm going to keep it simple. And you define what states you're listening to, or sorry, what events you're listening to, and how you want your state to change every time. And Redux allows you to subdivide that into nice little names. So because you don't have just usually one state for your app. You have a bunch of tiny ones. And so Redux just has really easy stuff to namespace them at the top. And I talked about the reducer style of state mutation. That's the state plus this action equals a new state. That's what they mean when they say reducer. It's a functional programming term. Connect injects the state and dispatcher into components. Dispatcher is how these actions are able to go and reach out. And the state is this. So there's a function it provides called connect that lets you wire up this thing to both get the state and fire off the actions. The other thing it has is serializable actions. So like these actions that come in here can all be serializable, which means you can replay them. So, hey, I have this empty box and I want to replay the same thing. Like, so maybe I'm actually collecting the actions and the initial state from my user. That means I can go and replay everything they just did one step at a time. So when things are going wrong, you can go, oh, this is awesome. I can actually go and replay and see what happens. Or maybe you only keep 5, so you can look at the last 5 that went wrong. Usually it's like an infinite loop or something terrible. And most of all, it's one-way binding. And no point here is there magical two-way stuff happening. And that's important because when you have magical two-way stuff, you get more cycles, you get unintentional pieces. Ember's really famous for like certain things are one-way and two-way. Meteor also. So where is the thing? So in terms of how to set that up, there's a bunch of like Bootstrap apps that'll just set that stuff up for you. It's not really worth me talking about in the next 5 minutes. So best practices for scale. Now is the sort of fun part. Actually, does anyone understand what Redux is and how it's put together? Did I do a good job for people that wanted to understand why it's there? Okay. Do you have a question actually before we go on? Oh no, now it's good.
How does the Git fit into this, or do you use Git to kind of backtrack on the last 5?
Git is just for saving the versions of what you do, so you can make mistakes and then roll your code back. It's sort of outside the scope of this, but it's a really useful tool. Okay, so now best practices for scale. Dumb views. You probably heard this. Why dumb views? They're easiest to debug, easiest to reuse. The prop types are usage docs. They can easily go into style libraries. So matter of fact, when I was at Craftsy, the UX guys that knew how to copy and paste JavaScript from Stack Overflow love these things. They wrote in JSX and they would write these things down here. Not so much this part, but a couple of them on the side were smart enough to be able to do like a little bit of work there. But the idea here is all they knew was they would go through, auto-generate a component, and there would be like a blank to-do right here, and they would go in and as far as they knew, they would fill in some HTML, and it would error if they did it wrong, which is the important part. So like it's not exactly HTML. Every tag has to be closed. We did a couple helpers, so like we renamed class to class name on the back. It's really bad practice, but it made everyone's life easier, so we just didn't even care. If you're using like regular Redux, this would be class name and not class, but we don't care. We really wanted to keep our designers happy and not have to write these ourselves. And the other thing we did was like we had this display if thing that saves a ton of time. But so they did. Next, CSS. Keep the CSS right next to the component. Use BEM or some encapsulation. It doesn't. This component-based architecture stuff doesn't help at all if your CSS stuff gets out of whack. We usually don't care about CSS until it goes wrong, and then it takes like hours and hours to fix it. And it's the hardest thing to backtrack and maintain. Like, where is this used? Where does this come from? If you keep it right next to your component, and you know that it can only affect this component, that's great. Some people just use BEM. This is sort of a way so that all of your classes can only affect your component. However, designers will break that. people that don't understand cascading and weird nesting situations, I really recommend that you actually go and use some method of encapsulation, something that'll automatically namespace to that component or decorate your CSS files so that it cannot possibly affect even a child of your component. There's a few plugins for that. Guys, I'm not going to show you how to set them up, but encapsulation is super important for maintaining this stuff over time. It also lets you delete things. Who knows? Try to delete a line of CSS from your code and see what happens. Smart components. So dump views are great. They don't really do anything. So how do you put it into this entire Redux model? So what you do is you wrap them around, as you put a wrap around it that says, hey, I'm injecting all the stuff that you need. So when you have a smart component, you try to take in the smallest number of data properties. One of the worst things you can do in a component-based architecture is pass through data from the top so that every single person along the chain has to know about the new properties and pass them to each child. Like, I don't know how many times you probably had to add one property and then gone up to the parent and then copy and paste it down the chain only to move it to some other component later. The idea with smart components is you take in just the smallest amount that you need. So for example, in this component here, the only property that is coming in that's going to affect the data is this cat ID. So when I'm wrapping this dump component that we saw earlier, the cat card, and I'm saying, okay, every cat card has an ID, and you know what? When I get this ID in, I'm going to go out and say, hey, Redux, why don't you connect this up to your data for me? So give me your cat cards, give me your list of favorite cats, and I'm going to pull down the cat ID that you give me, and I'm going to get all the data on this cat. And you know what? If it's my favorite cat, I'm going to say that this cat is special, and I'm going to pass in the data that it needs. In addition, like from the card, I want to be able to toggle that this is my favorite cat or not. Like maybe a cat's not your favorite anymore, like it peed on something you own, it smells, it's terrible. This is what's going to enable you to let you unfavor that cat or favor it if maybe it does your laundry, which wouldn't happen. So the other thing is that these smart components handle computer properties for you. If you store these things in your Redux, things go out of whack. And it can also inject some transient state. So like a lot of times you'll want to like have something like say you're doing a custom drop down and you have like it's open or it's not open. And you're like, oh, that's really that's like ephemeral transient state. I'll just have state on my component. And then suddenly you like, oh, but when you click this one has to close. But not if it's this one. And you're like, oh God, like now I have to go back and recode everything I ever did. It's really nice for the first round to, with Recompose, you can inject a transient state, and then if you have to move it up, you can just basically copy and paste that up into a reducer, and it works awesome. Highly recommend the Recompose library if you guys are doing smart components. Immutable state. Use immutable state on the Redux side. Don't use it in React. It'll make your React components look like hell. Only programmers will be able to use them. But definitely use it on your state because you won't have as much memory pressure as you make changes. You can actually do time travel efficiency if you keep it around, which makes like on error, you can dump to JS, throw it across the wire and go, okay, error reporter, what state was this guy in when he had this error happen? Okay, cool. Now I can just hydrate my state and oh, okay, this looks wrong. Next one, normalized reducers. So this is probably the one that people like that. This is the one that we fucked up the most on and had to go back and we sort of wasted about 3 weeks out of a 6 month cycle. So initially when we did our reducers, we would basically model what we put in our reducer after the API call. So we take it and we dump it into a thing and then select really deeply out of this structure that came from the back end. That was really bad when we suddenly wanted to reuse components on different API calls. And we didn't want to have to do any sort of fancy stuff in our connects. We wanted to be able to keep it pretty simple. So what we found out is basically we can normalize the data coming back from the back end, and flatten it out into basically the smallest entities we could. So what this means is, for example, back in the smart component here, I pulled from 2 different repositories, favorite cat and cat cards. A lot of times what your initial reaction would be to put like an is favorite on a cat card, or the number of likes that it has, and pop it onto the actual data structure itself and mutate that and do it. When you do that, it makes it really hard to reuse the pieces and compose them together later. So what you do is you actually can just say, hey, everything's keyed by ID. It's the same way you would sort of do this if you were designing the database for it. You can go add a column, or you can just make a separate table that you're not going to need all that often, because you don't always need all of them. This is the separate table approach with the same ID. So the idea here is, so you say toggle a favorite cat. I'm just going to go say, hey, this cat ID, it's set. What's not in here is clearing it out. So the problem with this approach is it makes it a lot harder to figure out what you need to clear out when you go to do a big page transition or something. So usually most of your reducers will have like a case of navigate, and it'll just clear itself out. That's the only downside to this approach that we found is having to understand what clears. And if you want to save something in between a couple states, you need to explicitly say, hey, when I get this event, like do nothing, reuse the same state. And again, try to reuse the reducers all the time instead of like localized state to the component. It's really going to make your life a lot easier over time. The last thing is namespacing your actions. So there's always a crazy weird debate in Redux about where do you put your actions, where do you put your constants, your serializable names for your actions, the types. And the answer that we found was best was actually putting it right next to the actions themselves. The thought is these things are what's generating it. These things are what know about it. Without the action, there's no point in having that constant anyway. So what we have here is we have the constant that we're exporting, and then we have the function that's actually going to be using it, toggle a favorite cat. So right here, before this dispatch actually happens, you can actually put any async thing that might happen. Maybe you only want to dispatch the toggle after you've gone and talked to the server. You can call dispatch at any time once you have a reference to it. Last, really recommend a monorepo. We actually ended up, I just had a message from my buddy yesterday. He's like, so I realized we have to make this new application, and it's for some of our distributors, and they want to be able to market this thing and do it. And I was like, oh God, we have to have a new application. How are we going to do this? And he's like, wait. We designed this monorepo so that we can just have multiple applications, one repo. So I made one new deployable, which is about 5 lines of code. And suddenly I can use any component I have already defined and any of the reducers that I want to use. Okay, that's really nice. Suddenly, the level of effort for doing this new application, this new thing to throw against the wall and sticks is 5 minutes. The other thing this lets you do is you got shared boilerplate code, which really speeds up your dev. You don't have to worry about npm linking, which is its own special kind of hell. And one of the other things that's really useful is you want to be able to move your components around without breaking things, because you're always going to get it wrong the first time. You're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to use this component all the time, and it's no, it's only used on this one page. Well, let's hide it. Or I'm never going to use this again. Suddenly it's on every page. Be able to move things around so that's in logical places where it makes sense. So you can, a lot of times you'll do this by name. There's not a great example of how to set up one. Facebook has a great post on what they've done. The only time you should never do this is if you're doing anything PCI compliant, because you have to have all the PCI compliant stuff in a separate code base to be auditable. So keep that in mind. Oh, see, this is why I don't do live coding. And last but not least, async actions. So I glossed over Oh god, where was it? Like what all this stuff does. This is where the devil lies. There's all sorts of side effects and states that's happening there. There are 3 libraries that you should use depending on the level of complexity. The simple ones use Thunk. That just lets you do as the dispatcher. It's a piece of middleware for Redux. The other one is if you have promises. So a lot of times if you're just handling success and failure, you can just use this Redux promise and it works. And if you're doing really complex things like animations or different flows that need to happen one after another, use sagas. And the moment you think about doing animation with promises, you should really just stop yourself and just go use sagas. You will literally save yourself hours. It's kind of amazing. And actually, this is one of the things that Ember is really good at comparatively with the Ember concurrency. Sagas is sort of like a lesser cousin of it. I'm really jealous of it. So if someone wants to write the equivalent, that'd be awesome. Any questions or done?
I think we're pretty far over, so that's my fault. If you have questions, follow this guy in the bar. All right, just 2 more talks, and we're out of here. Just kidding, we're done. Thank you. Hux, come on, hang out with